إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. فالإمام السعدي رحمه الله تعالى said النية شرط لسائر العمل بها الصلاح والفساد للعمل. الشيخ العلامة الفقيه سليمان الرحيلي, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve him, said there is an indication for the first of the Qawa'id al-Kubra, the major rules of fiqh, وهي قاعدة الأمور بمقاصدها, which is the قاعدة الأمور بمقاصدها, that matters are based upon the intention. Matters are based upon the intention. طيب, what is النية يا إخوان? And sometimes we are asked about the niyyah, and sometimes waswas plays into this, into niyyah. So focus in today's lesson, barakallahu fikum. Shaykh Sulayma الرحيلي says its definition على التحقيق, يعني after giving it the thorough study, انبعاث القلب وتوجهه توجها جازما إلى العمل تقربا إلى الله عز وجل. It is the certain form or certain direction of the heart, the certain or firm direction of the heart towards an action seeking the nearness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But what do we mean by certain and firm? يعني meaning without hesitation. Is this what you say? يعني in English, what do we say, ya akhwa? We say certain, right? Is there a better word to say without hesitation? I will see the comments. If you have one, you can send it. Anyway, so it is the firm or certain turning of the heart, or that the heart turned towards an action seeking the nearness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the place of intention is in the heart by the consensus of the ulama, by the ijma' of the ulama. And they have agreed that, the ulama, they have agreed that أن النية إذا وجدت في القلب, that when the intention is in the heart, then the condition is met and the niyyah is fulfilled. طيب. Shaykh Sulayma الرحيلي explains what is the meaning of توجها جازما. يعني the certain turning of the heart towards an action. What is this certain turning? He says, from the characteristics of intention, that it must be without hesitation, without a doubt. It has to be with certainty. فإذا نقص ما في القلب عن الجزم, so if the certainty is lacking or decreases, فحصل فيه تردد, then he is hesitant now while he's leaning towards doing the action. This is called hammun. This is called al-ham, not an-niyyah. So this is like saying in English, desire or leaning towards. And this is not intention, and it is less than an intention. And this al-ham, which is the leaning of the heart towards an action with hesitation, this is the definition now. Al-ham is leaning towards an action with hesitation. However, an-niyyah, then it has and must have certainty with the action. Certainty for the action itself. يعني مثلا لو أنك يوم الأربعاء, for example, that at Wednesday Your heart مال قلبك إلى أن تصوم غدا, leaned towards fasting tomorrow, مع شيء من التردد, with some hesitation. فإننا نقول هذا هم, we say this is a هم بالصيام, for carrying out fasting. وهو عمل صالح, and it is a righteous deed. تؤجر عليه, you get rewarded for it. وتكتب لك حسنة, and you are rewarded a حسنة, a good deed. And this is from the bounty of Allah and His mercy. لكن لو أنك في ليلة الخميس, however, if you are at the night of Thursday, يعني the same day, because the night of Thursday is the, يعني we have the day of Wednesday and the night before Thursday, let's say. So if you are the night before Thursday, and in Arabic they say ليلة الخميس, يعني the night of Thursday, you intended certainly, firmly, جزمت, يعني 100%, أنك صائم غدا, that tomorrow you will be fasting. Then this is niyyah, this is intention, and it is a higher degree, and it is a level above al-ham. تقربا إلى الله, seeking nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is the shar'i niyyah. This is the correct Islamic niyyah. طيب. And from here, you know that النية الشرعية, that النية, which is intention, that is Islamic, is divided into two types. Before we continue, what does the Shaykh mean, Islamic intention? Who knows? Who can answer me? No one so far. Ibn Munir says what? Says before doing deeds with a reward. Yani before doing an act of worship, yeah? Or something that has to do with the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. That's why we said shar'i, Islamically. Right. So differentiate. Now, you might have an intention for something that is worldly, that has nothing to do with an act of worship. It is not an act of worship. This is not an Islamic niyyah. You cannot say, is this a correct niyyah or not? It doesn't matter. But it's a shar'iyyah, is that what you get rewarded for? That you understand? Barakallahu fikum. طيب. We have two types. The first one, niyyatul amal, the intention of the act of worship. And the second type, niyyatul ma'muli lahu, the intention of the one you are doing the act of worship to, the one you are dedicating the act of worship to. And these two types have been mentioned by Imam ibn Uthaymin rahimahullah ta'ala in his explanation on the 40 Nawawi hadith. With these wordings, نية العمل ونية المعمول له. طيب, نية العمل, what is the intention of the action itself? This is called by the people of ilm the niyyah of التعيين والتمييز, the intention of classification, التعيين والتمييز, and distinction. The niyyah of classification and distinction. As the name suggests, it is the intention that classifies the action that you are going to do, and it gives it the distinction between it and other actions. For example, what does that mean? That means you intend to pray Salat al-Dhuhr. So now you classified your action, which is praying al-Dhuhr, and it distinguishes the prayer of Dhuhr than other prayers, for example. That's what it means. And that which differentiates between actions. Which action are you going to do? Easy. طيب. نية المعمول له, the intention of dedicating the act of worship to whom? This is what? This is sincerity to Allah Azza wa Jal. This is tawheed. Because any act of worship you have to what? You have to only dedicate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you dedicate to anyone else or associate anyone else with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it becomes shirk. طيب. So far so good, ya ikhwan. We said in the poem, Al-Imam Sa'di said what in the verse? النية شرط لسائر العمل بها الصلاح والفساد للعمل. شرط, condition. What is meant by condition? Now, you might remember الشيخ العلامة فلاح مندكار, الشيخ العلامة مفوض الإفتاء in Medina, Salih al-Sahimi, and other of the ulama. They always say what? They always say, you see people indulging in the most serious of matters, the most dangerous and complicated of matters of the religion, that are left for the muftis, that are left for the judges, that are left and so for the biggest of the ulama. And then you see some people who feign knowledge, yani fake that they have knowledge, indulging in it. So you stop them. You say, what is the difference between a condition and a pillar? They don't know. Now, we have to learn what a condition is, so that if someone asks you, he says, what is a condition? You can answer. طيب. الشرط. ما معنى الشرط يا إخوة؟ ما يلزم من عدمه العدم، ولا يلزم من وجوده وجود أو عدم. ما يلزم من عدمه العدم، ولا يلزم من وجوده وجود أو عدم. How to translate this now? طيب. ما يلزم من عدمه العدم. If someone can articulate it better, I'm just going to explain it. But if you can articulate it in one sentence that is nice, please go ahead and do so. So a condition is when it is not there, then the action is nullified. The action must be nullified. When it is not there, yani the action depends on it. So when it is not there, the action is not there. And when it is there, it does not necessitate that the action has taken place or has not taken place. It seems like this needs an explanation. Does not sound right in English. So a condition is that which necessitates let me try to formulate a better sentence, a better definition in the English language. ما يلزم من عدمه العدم. So Nahim says, so condition is a prerequisite, but not necessarily the completion of the action. So he says he understood my broken my broken definition. طيب, alhamdulillah. طيب, so it is a prerequisite. Let's say a condition is a prerequisite that necessitates that when it is not met, it necessitates that the action as well is not met. And if it is met, does not necessitate that the action has either been met or not met. Yani this is to the best of my ability. Does this make sense? It is a prerequisite that when it is not met, it necessitates that the act of worship is not met. And when it is met, it does not necessitate either that the action is met or not met. Now we will explain so that you understand this definition. What is one of the conditions of Salah? One of the conditions of Salah is that the time of the salah enters. So it is a prerequisite which, if not met, the act of worship is nullified. It did not even occur in the first place. Yani, if the time for Salat al-Dhuhr does not enter and you pray Dhuhr, your salah is nullified. Your salah it's not even the Dhuhr salah in the first place. It was not met, it was not carried out. طيب. Now the time has entered. So this prerequisite has been met. Does that mean that you prayed Salat al-Dhuhr? No, you didn't. So even if it is met, does not necessitate that either the action has been fulfilled or not fulfilled. So write this down, and this is the best definition I can give. A condition is a prerequisite that when it is not met, the act of worship is not fulfilled. And when it is met, it does not necessitate that the act of worship is either fulfilled or not fulfilled. An example, the time for salah. For example, the salah of al-Dhuhr. If the salah does not enter, you cannot do the salah. It's a prerequisite, you did not fulfill it. But if the time enters, does not mean that you prayed, because there are other conditions that have to be met, and you have to carry out the act of worship. That is why the ulama, they add one more word that I did not add, لِذَاتِهِ, by itself. And I explained it for you. By itself meaning what? Meaning that by itself does not necessitate that it happened or not. Other prerequisites and conditions have to be met. La Akhival, this is not correct. So Akhival said condition is something that has to be fulfilled for the action to be valid. Fine, this is the first half of it. But what about the second half? That even if it is fulfilled, on its own, it does not necessitate that the act of worship has been carried out, has been fulfilled, or hasn't been fulfilled. طيب. Why on its own it does not necessitate the fulfillment of the act of worship? Because one act of worship or one thing might have many conditions. So you have one condition that is met and the other condition that is not met, so the act of worship has not been fulfilled. So Nahim says, so condition is a prerequisite, but pillars are parts that when all of them are complete, we are not talking about pillars yet. Test yourself. If you don't know the definition between a condition and a pillar, you should be shy. You should be shy of speaking about matters, complicated matters of the religion. Especially that which you have no knowledge of. Especially takfir and tabdi' and tafsiq and applying rulings upon individuals. Especially. And other matters as well. Like matters of blood, shedding blood, matters of Islamic judicial systems and laws and complicated matters. And so on. طيب. لا أخي Nahim, I'm not telling you. No, I'm just saying, I'm telling everyone. I'm not speaking to you, barakallahu fiqh. I'm saying now test yourselves, ya ikhwa. Test yourselves. If you do not know the difference between a condition and a pillar, no problem, it's good, we're learning. And just know that you're at that level. So you should follow the Salaf al-Salih, because the Salaf al-Salih, they indulged in matters which they can translate into actions. That which is necessary and important to them. طيب. Adil says, condition, when it is not there, the action is and must be nullified. It is prerequisite when when it doesn't meet, it doesn't mean the action is not fulfilled. Wallahi, I don't know what you're saying. It's a prerequisite. When it is not met, it doesn't mean the action is fulfilled. Okay, it's not fulfilled or fulfilled. Nah. So, no, we're just talking about actions now, Akhi Nahim. So Nahim might ask, and Nahim is bright. He might ask, he say, طيب, AbdulAziz, what is the difference between a pillar and a condition? I just mixed up the two. We say, look, the ulama say a condition starts from before the act of worship and continues all the way until the act of worship ends. But a pillar is only inside the act of worship. Inside the act of worship. Yani the conditions of salah are 9. And most are before. Al-Islam, al-Aql, al-Tamyiz, al-Niyya. Islam, al-Aql, Aql يعني sanity, Tamyiz, discerning from right and wrong, and al-Niyya, and intention. And you have from it what? دخول الوقت, that the time enters. طيب, and the arkan of the salah, the pillars of the salah, they are 14. Standing up while you can, takbirat al-ihram, making ruku', standing up from ruku', making sujood. You understand? These are pillars. The condition and the pillar, ya akhwa, both of them share that they must be met, and they are not mended in the salah, for example, by sujood as-sahu, if you do not carry them out. Even if you did not know, you were ignorant that these are pillars or conditions, and even though if you forgot, does not matter. The rak'ah is nullified and you have to add a new rak'ah, or the whole salah is nullified and you have to repeat it. But that is when you are sure, not when you doubt. When you doubt it, you have sujood as-sahu. However, obligations, ya akhwa, I mean, this is, yani, subhanAllah, this is easy. I shouldn't be explaining this, but I see that maybe there is a need for this. But you can go to the explanation of the important lessons. Anyway, but the obligations, you can what? The obligations, you can mend them with sujood as-sahu. Unless you intentionally did not do one obligation, then you nullify the salah, or the act of worship. Understood, ya ikhwan? This is just a very, very summarized, just to remember, refresh our minds. طيب. So we understand the difference between a pillar and a condition. What we want to focus on is that a condition starts before the act of worship and goes all the way until the end of the act of worship. Like purity, you make wudu and you are pure before the act of worship, and then you have to be pure all throughout the salah, or your salah is nullified. However, a pillar starts at the act of worship itself, in the act of worship itself. Understood? طيب. Like reciting Surah Al-Fatiha in the salah. طيب. So, the last time I'm going to repeat this, we have a condition. A condition meaning what? Let's read what Shaykh Sulayma said. He says, you make wudu for Salat al-Duha, the Sunnah. So you have fulfilled the condition of purity. However, by fulfilling the condition of purity, does that mean that you have prayed? No. Why? Because there is another condition that has to be met, like the time for the salah itself entering and being present. فلا يلزم من وجود الشرط. So when one of the conditions is met, does not necessitate that by itself the act of worship is fulfilled. However, it is when you meet all the conditions of the act of worship and there isn't any preventive factor. So it partially affects and not fully. Yani you have to meet all the conditions for the act of worship and you have to stay away from all preventive factors. وجوب الشروط وانتفاء الموانع, as you know. طيب. ولا عدم لا يلزم من وجود الشرط عدم المشروط لذاته. قد يلزم العدم لكن ليس لذات الشرط. وإنما مثلا لعدم وجود الشرط الآخر. He's saying that an act of worship might not be fulfilled even if you fulfilled this action because you have another condition which you have not fulfilled. For example, if you wanted to pray al-Dhuhr at the time of al-Duha, we say this is not allowed because there is another condition which you have not met, which is the time entering. طيب. I'm summarizing what the Shaykh is saying and adding to what the Shaykh is saying, يعني explaining. طيب. Now we want to talk about something that is extremely important. And someone who is suffering from waswas, open your ears. Like you say in English, I want you to be all ears. In English, when somebody is listening, he says, I'm all ears. Meaning I am focusing and listening. طيب. ينبغي أن يراعي طالب العلم. ينبغي أن يراعي طالب العلم. The student of knowledge must pay attention. أن الاشتباه إذا لم يوجد حال العمل فإن الأصل وجود نية العمل. If there is no اشتباه, confusion, at the time of the act of worship, when you are carrying out the act of worship, then the fundamental principle is that the niyyah is there. Pay attention to this, as this is extremely important for waswasa. What does it mean if there isn't a confusion? Yani if there isn't another thing that you can have niyyah for. Meaning what? If now the adhan for Asr starts, you heard the adhan, you went up, you made wudu, you went to the masjid, and you said Allahu Akbar, and you started praying. Is there any other salah other than dhuhr, other than Asr? The answer is no. Don't say, oh, I didn't have my intention, I have to repeat now, I have to say Allahu Akbar again, I have to break the salah and say Allahu Akbar again because I did not make the intention. There isn't anything else to make intention for. It is only Salat al-Asr, so the intention is there. Understood? There isn't anything else. You hear the adhan, you make the wudu, you go to the masjid, you say Allahu Akbar, you want to pray what? The fard. Oh, I did not name which fard it is, I did not know, I did not intend. Does not matter. There isn't any other salah than this salah. So this is intention, that's it. Somebody who has waswas, tell him this, done. Another thing, وإياكم وجزاكم الله خيرا, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. If it happens, ignore it. There isn't a khalas. What are you going to pray at Asr time? Maghrib? No. It is Asr only. Like, let me give you another example. Even if you did not know which salah this is and you went and made wudu, somebody might come to you, you did not designate, the shaitan comes to you, you did not designate which, was this wudu, which salah is this. You don't do this out of what? Out of seeking coolness, right? To have cold air. This is back in the day. Many people used to do this. But nowadays you have air conditioning, you have fans, you have so on and so forth. Mostly when you go and you make wudu, why do you make wudu? In order to make wudu. So even if you did not have the intention, this is wudu, ya ikhwa. Even if you automatically did not think and went and made wudu and went to pray and you prayed and came back, this is niyyah for everything that you have done. Khalas. Don't let the shaitan manipulate you. طيب. What about things that are unique? What about things that are unique? Like the adhan. Zain, for example, now, my dear brother Zain Ajmal, wants to make the adhan. And he says, I did not intend to make the adhan. So he comes to me and says, AbdulAziz, I did not intend to make the adhan and I made the adhan. I say, look, Shaykh Sulayma in his explanation on Al-Mandhumah Al-Qawa'id Al-Fiqhiyyah for Shaykh Sa'di, he has more than one explanation, by the way. I told you, this is the explanation for the Jami'ah Al-Islamiyah in Medina. He said what? He said unique acts of worship like the adhan, that has nothing similar to it, does not have the condition of niyyah for it to become correct. I will read what he said. He said, أَمَّا الْعِبَادَاتُ الْمُتَمَيِّزَةُ بِذَاتِهَا, as the acts of worship that are unique in themselves. فَهَذِهِ لَا تُشْتَرَطُ لِصِحَّتِهَا نِيَّةُ الْعَمَلِ, then these do not have as a condition the intention of the action. مثل الأذان, like the adhan. فالأذان لا يوجد ما يشبهه, for there is nothing that is like the adhan. والأصل في المؤذن ألا يؤذن عبثا, and the fundamental principle, and what is the norm? That a person who makes the adhan, that the mu'adhin does not make an adhan purposelessly, without a purpose. فكونه يؤذن, so for him to make the adhan, يكفي, is sufficient, أنه أذن, that he made the adhan. So the adhan is there, it is fulfilled. لوجود الأذان. وكذلك الأذكار, and the same thing are the adhkar. كقول, like saying لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله, there is no changing from one condition to another, and no power except by Allah. هذه متميزة بذاتها, this is unique in its own. لا يوجد في كلام الناس المعتاد ما يشبهها, there is nothing in what people say normally that which is similar to it. We have Fuzz is asking, so the default for acts of worship is that it doesn't require niyyah. La, we didn't say this, except the ones mentioned. La, we did not say this. We said you have to have a niyyah for every act of worship, because acts of worship, they require what? Intention. But the Shaykh is saying there are unique acts of worship that for them to be correct, to be considered correct, whether you had niyyah or not, they are correct, like the adhan. Because there's nothing, yani you didn't make the adhan out of a habit. So the niyyah is there, whether you said it or whether you realize that or not. This is what is meant. But the salah, there's salat al-dhuhr and salat al-asr. Which one? So you have to have the niyyah. طيب, what if you did not think about it and just automatically, because you pray every day, alhamdulillah, automatically made wudu and went to the masjid and prayed the fard of the time? This is considered to be niyyah as well. So the niyyah is there, not that it is not there. Understood? طيب. We're talking about which niyyah, barakallahu feek? The niyyah of differentiating between this act of worship and this act of worship. So adhan does not have something similar to it. We said niyyah is of how many types? Again, it seems like this is problematic. But we are here, alhamdulillah, sitting to explain. We have two types of niyyah. The niyyah that distinguishes one action from another, like the acts of worship, or acts of worship from actions that are not worship. And we have the niyyah which is solely to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, dedication, sincerity. So if you go and want to make the adhan, you're distinguishing it between what and what? Nothing. You understand? So this is not required to distinguish it from something else. Understood, ya akhwa? And the same thing applies to what I said, because you are going to make the salah of the obligatory salah that is at this time. Even if you did not think about it, the intention is there. You know what Shaykh Abdul Salam said? The intention is what? Is the knowledge in the heart. This is the intention. Because people think the intention is what? Is I will go and pray. He says inside his head, I will go and pray Salatul Dhuhr. No, this is bid'ah. Yeah, but I didn't say it out loud. We say saying it out loud is a bid'ah, and saying it in your head is also bid'ah. So the knowledge that you have in your heart, this is an intention. You went and made the wudu and went to make the salah. There you go. You intended it. The brother is saying, for some reason, I feel joy learning this. Of course, ya akhi. Why for some reason? All of ilm is joy. It is, ya akhwa, it also works your mind. Ilm is lovely. طيب. طيب أما العادات, as for normal acts of worship, عفوا, normal acts that are not worship, فلا يشترط لصحتها نية العمل وإنما تكفي صورتها. As any action that you want to do that is not an act of worship, you don't have to have an intention for it. Once you carry it out, it's carried out. Like what? Like buying and selling. So فإذا وجدت صورتها حكمنا عليها بالصحة. مثل البيع, إذا وجدت صورة البيع حكمنا بصحة البيع. Like buying, like a transaction. If the transaction is fulfilled properly, then we say the transaction is correct. طيب, then intention is what? It is for the acts of worship. طيب, what about the second type of intention, which is the intention of sincerity? المعمول له, the intention of whom you dedicate this action to. The Shaykh says it is a condition for every act of worship. Every act of worship, it is not correct unless it is dedicated to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. Sincerity is fulfilled. طلب العلم, seeking knowledge, لا يصح, is not fulfilled as a قربة إلا بالإخلاص لله عز وجل, as an act that gets you closer to Allah عز وجل, except when it is sincere to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if a student of knowledge, فإن لم يخلص طالب العلم في طلب العلم الشرعي, is not sincere in seeking, if a student of knowledge is not sincere in seeking علم, كان ذلك معصية. This is a disobedience to Allah عز وجل. This is a sin. الصلاة, prayer, لا تصح, is not correct except when there is sincerity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Same thing with charity. As for normal actions, not acts of worship, sincerity is not a condition for it to be correct. يعني لا يشترط لصحتها قصد وجه الله بها. So for us to say that this action, which is not an act of worship, is incorrect because it was not sincere to Allah, we do not say that. إذا باع ولم يرد بذلك وجه الله فالبيع صحيح. So if someone buys or sells something and he does not want Allah subhanahu, desires and seeks out the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his transaction is correct. نعم. طيب, what about not doing acts of worship? What about abandoning? يعني not doing, the opposite. التروك. First of all, what are التروك? التروك, for the people of knowledge, they say التي يكون المطلوب براءة الذمة منها. That what is required, التروك, is what is that which we are required to be free from. We are free from it. So it includes prohibitions and other things. Like what, ya akhwa? If I had a gift, I would give the person who would answer. We have at-turuk, things we have to be safe from. It has prohibitions in it and other things. لا يا أخوة, the brothers are saying shirk, طاغوت. This is the biggest of prohibited things. We're saying prohibited things as well as other stuff. If the question was easy, I wouldn't have said if I have a gift, I would have given you the gift. Bid'ah is prohibited. We don't have fuqaha with us. لا يا أخوة, how? You are saying forbidden things. I'm telling you, things you have to be free from. Turuk, and you have to abandon them or be free from them. They include prohibitions as well as other things, like what? But you have to be free from.
عليك. Like خوارم المروءة مشتبهات.
Like لا, nobody has it. لا, all of this is haram يا إخوان. لا, no, not doubtful matters. Like impurities. Like I said, I hinted. I said, where are the fuqaha? You study instantly النجاسة. You study instantly النجاسة when you go into fiqh. Impurities. You have to remove them in order to make salah. So at-turuk, they are from bab at-turuk. They are from bab at-turuk. You have to be free from them. طيب. But what if they... Now, for you to abandon, for example, a prohibition, you need a niyyah. You need an intention that is sincere to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so you get rewarded for it. But if rain comes down and the impurity is washed away, ya ikhwa, it's washed away. That's it. You can pray. You don't need a niyyah. Rain washed it away. Understood? Barakallahu fikum. So at-turuk are more general. That is why you have to have intention, and at the same time there are some cases where you don't have to have the intention, like impurities, for example. And I'm trying to make this easy for you. When you read what the people of ilm say and how they differ on these matters, you might become confused. You might become confused. طيب. For impurities, as Shaykh Sulayma says, impurities, these are from an-najasat. These are afwan. Impurities, these are from at-turuk, abandoned things, or things you have to be free from. These are impurities, are part of them. At-turuk لا يشترط لصحتها النية. So at-turuk, intention is not a prerequisite. So if a person abandons something and his abandonment is correct, then bari'at zimmatuhu. There's nothing on him. طيب. طيب. I am summarizing, by the way, so please give me some time. لا, we have طيب. لا, maybe we're not. طيب. Allah al-musta'an. لا, this is gonna take us another class. I don't think we have time for. How about, I think today we have taken, let's stop at turuk. Let's stop at يعني abandoning that which you are required to abandon, or you have to be free from, and we will go into detail next week inshallah azza wa jal, as there is a lot left. I thought we only had a little more to left. No, there is a lot more. We stop here inshallah azza wa jal. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. We have one of the brothers, he's saying, what about having the niyyah of zakah? Someone paid it on behalf of me. If you have given him as a wakala, the yujzi. If you have given wakala in zakah is correct. Wakala in zakah. So you give somebody else and you tell him, pay, this is my zakah, pay it for the poor. This is correct. This is correct. Now. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.